Hi there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 82 of our Be a Better You annual challenge. Today we are talking about communication, of course. Communication all this month. We're focusing on that area of the life framework. And we are diving deep today into the communication code of conduct and your moral code. How do you marry those two together and show up in your communications and your interactions with other human beings and entities and in your communication, whatever form, the way you want to. We're going to talk about 6 different elements to a communication code of conduct. We're going to talk about 5 components to your moral code of communication code of conduct. And then I'll share a 5-step process of how you can implement a communication code of conduct. And we'll do other codes of conduct throughout the year, but specifically with respect to communication, because I think we've seen so much manipulation of communication and communication mediums over the last, probably 100 years, but we didn't know better. But especially over the last 20 or so years, the vast majority of my thinking adult life, the way communication and media has been handled has not followed an ethical or moral code of conduct. And I want to make sure that I am doing what's right for me, which is going to include all of these elements. Some I'm better at than others, just like we all are. But let's talk about them. Number 1, let's talk about the 6 components to a communication code of conduct. What do we want to include? We want to make sure that we are having clarity and precision as part of our conversations and our communication. We want to communicate in a way that's clear, not foggy or confusing to people, because a confused mind always says no, but also gets to the point. That's a biggie for me, right? Efficiency and effectiveness are core values of mine. And so I'm always looking for ways to clearly communicate, simplify, and precisely communicate. Secondly, we want to use respect and courtesy. That is the old treat people the way you want to be treated part of everything. It's the golden rule. Let's apply it to everything in our life, especially our code of conduct, and especially with respect to how we communicate. Third, active listening. Just talked about active listening and how critical it is to our communication success and what a valuable communication skill it is. So that one kind of goes without saying, but it's got to be there. And then 4th, constructive feedback. Constructive feedback, what's the difference? There's a big difference between feedback that is given because the giver wants to get something off their chest and feedback that is given to really care about and help the person to be better or help the communication to be better. Our feedback, the things that come out of our mouth, the way we treat other people, should always be constructive and for their good. I am going to clearly and emphatically say that because that is, of course, a core belief of mine, that we treat people the way we want to be treated and that we are here to help them. We're here to help other human beings be a better version of themselves, not to ever cut them down or deride them. 5th, empathy and understanding. We need to put ourselves in other people's shoes and really communicate to understand it. And that has to be built in as an element of our code of conduct so we don't forget it. And then 6th is nonverbal awareness. We need to be aware of our facial expressions, our tone of voice, the how high or low or how emphatically we are communicating, because that body language, tone, tactile expression, our facial expressions, our hand movements, our gestures, our stance, all of it communicates a message that needs to be in alignment with the message that we're communicating, or it causes confusion. And a confused mind says no, right? So our communication code of conduct has the guidelines of how we want to, and the elements of how we want to show up in our communication. And our communication in our personal life, as well as our communication in our professional life, or communication in our social life, no matter what the medium, whether it's written, verbal, nonverbal, or spoken, we want to make sure that we're including these elements and considering them in a way that we want to show up in the world. And that kind of ties into our moral code. Our communication moral code takes all of this a step further and adds our personal values and beliefs and wishes and objectives onto our communication code of conduct so that we're in alignment with who we really are in how we show up. What are the 5 elements of that? Of course, honesty. Are we being honest and truthful in our communication, even when it's challenging, even when it's difficult, right? Are we being accountable? Are we taking accountability for our listening, to understand, for our empathy, for all our behaviors in the code of conduct. Because guess what? Sometimes we'll do great at communicating, other times not so much. Have you ever noticed when you're feeling more stress that it's harder to follow the code of conduct and the communication code of conduct and treat people the way you want to be treated and all of the things that are important? Of course, it's true for all of us, but we just need to practice more. Transparency. Are we being authentic and transparent in our communication? Either we are or we aren't, right? Either we're being secretive and only sharing partial information, or we're being open and honest and saying, hey, I don't know the answer to that, but I can go figure it out. Or if you want me to, I can go figure it out. Or we can figure it out together. That's my favorite. And then kindness and compassion. Are we treating people the way we want to be treated? Guess what? Nobody wants to be treated bad. I mean, in our heart of hearts, nobody wants us to be treated in a way that feels bad to us. So remember to treat people the way you want to be treated. Always treat people with kindness, right? And understanding and compassion. And that's what you'll get back in return. And then finally, the fifth element of our moral communication code is consistency. Are we consistent? Are we the same across all types of communication, across all groups that we communicate with? If we're not, we've got an authenticity and a consistency problem. And we need to fix that because, again, if we confuse people with the messages that we're giving out, we will have less success in our relationships and our communication and results in all the areas and aspects of our life than we want. So how do you implement a communication code of conduct and a communication moral code of your own and in your own life or in your own business or in your own social interactions? Well, step one, do a self-assessment. Ask yourself, in my communication, reflect on your communication experiences and identify your strengths and weaknesses. I like to do a SWOT analysis on my communication: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. If I am not following my personal code, that is a threat to my successful communication. But that's my nerdy engineering side. I like SWOT analyses. So number two, we need to define our core principles. What core values and core things are most important to us? Is honesty, integrity, authenticity, is it even important to you? Because if it's not, you're going to communicate in a different way and you're going to include a different level of those things in your moral code because it's just not that important to you. Depending on how deep or how superficial you are, that will determine how much of each of the different elements, the 5 elements that you include in your moral code aspect of your communication code of conduct. Obviously, and I'm going to say this without any apologies, our mainstream media has diverted dramatically from their original communication code of conducts and from their moral code of conduct for communication. It's right in our faces if we so choose to look. And when we so choose to look and see what's really going on, we usually click the button and turn it off, or push the button or click the clicker. Third step is to, of course, apply and test and practice the different elements that you're adding to your code of conduct and your moral code. Our moral code, guess what? We pretty much already have that down. We're already behaving in the way that feels right to us and is consistent for us. So we're more practicing the items of the communication code of conduct than we actually are the elements of our moral code, because our moral code is our beliefs, our deeply held beliefs, our core values, and they show up, guess what, whether we want them to or not. If you value money over clear communication with people, if you value secrecy more than openness and authenticity, those things are going to show up in all your communications in all areas and aspects of your life. And so we want to test and tweak those things to get us better results. So the fourth step of the process after we start trying things on is see how it's going. Ask trusted people or colleagues and ask them for feedback. Hey, I've been doing this in my communication. Have you even noticed? Or do you think it's working? Do I think I need to go further in the direction of authenticity and openness? Do you think I need to step it back a bit because I'm sharing way too much? Let me know. And then 5, make what's working a habit. Why? Because our habits mean we've automated the process of doing something, made it part of our identity and who we are, and we don't have to consciously think about it. It's hard when you have to consciously think about your communication code of conduct, right? Because you have to go through all the steps and think about it and have a little checklist or whatever works for you. and then critique each piece of your content when you do that. It's super hard, but if you practice little bits at a time, start small, tweak it as you go, and then find out what's working for you. Hey, it really, really works for me when I use this format for my text, or when I use this format for responding to a comment, or when I use this format for email. And then start using those things to the point that they become a habit. And your communication will automatically level up, and you'll get better results and continually improving results. How do I know? Because I've done it on myself over and over again in different areas that I need to get better at. And guess what? We're never really done becoming who it is that we're meant to be, and the best possible version of ourselves. We are lifelong works in progress, and that's how it should be. So we want to be just seeking continual improvement, adding things, learning things, automating things that work for us. And then guess what? After a period of time, what's worked for you will stop working. It's the way it is, because the world around us is changing so fast. It's really hard to put something in place and think it's never going to have to be changed, tweaked, updated, upgraded, or improved, right? So let's not kid ourselves into thinking that. So today, what are we doing? We are going to start working on, if you haven't done it ever before, our communication specific code of conduct, elements we want to include in it. Then we're going to start testing and tweaking it. And we're going to revisit our moral code, because that will be built into everything that we do, because it's the foundation of who we are, and we need to build ourselves into it. Now, I want you to start thinking about, so that's our assignment for today, or our action item. I don't expect you to get it done if you've never done this before, but I do expect you to get it started. At least put a framework in your journal. That's what I have always done. Now, mine's in place, so I just have to look at it, assess it, and tweak it. And in some areas, I need to tweak it because I've noticed my communication code has slipped in a couple of areas, especially when it comes to political posts and things. And I think that it's coming to the time where I just need to time out and stop myself from all commenting on anything political whatsoever. Because it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what I think or say out there. It matters to me, but it doesn't matter to anybody else. So why am I wasting my time and energy? But today, the thing I want you to start thinking about is ask yourself this question: what communication area is most important to me this year? Because we're going to start the ideas process tomorrow. And I want you to just start pre-thinking about, okay, what is my most important communication area? Because that's what we're going to set and use the ideas framework on, and focus on and work on a little bit at a time for the rest of the year, so that you can make sure that you achieve your biggest communication goal and objective this year. All right. Have an awesome day. If you have any questions, all you have to do is ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow.